Hey gang, it's me, OD, host of Stove to Strategy here everywhere at stove2strategy.com. So, did you know that losing a $60,000 a year employee could really cost you upwards to 120 grand? That's amazing. Let's find out a little bit more when we come back. Hi, everybody. I am here with the wonderful Ashley Waddington of Ponder This Consulting. You can go jump and check that website out right now. I'm sure you can browse while you listen to us talk about Ponder This Consulting. Ashley, welcome to Stove to Strategy.
Thank you, Odie. I'm excited to be here.
We are excited to have you. You have this wonderful concept, and it's kind of super cool how this kind of rolled into my life because you are helping new leaders, I'm going to say, become great leaders with
That's
with
cool.
what you're doing with your consulting.
Yeah, that's the goal. Ponder This is on a mission, and the mission is upskill today's managers and tomorrow's senior leaders. So,
That's amazing. So for twofold, I I am a big my dad is a boomer, and he's always talking about like, man, these people need to just go sit down and let these young people lead. Um, but I always tell him, like, they're not really, a lot of places really aren't training the middle level managers to become the senior and C-level managers. And so it's not very easy to get that progression or for someone to feel comfortable or trusting that, like, hey, I guess if I retire because I'm 85 and I still want to go to work every day for 40 hours a week, that this young guy is going to be able to take care of my job. So as I've moved into the middle management, I've definitely gone into my second year and like have experienced so much just drinking from a water hose. And a program like yours could have probably helped me, put a little snorkel up and get through it a little bit more. So tell us about your program.
I like the snorkel analogy. So, this program I built for the manager and me years ago when I got thrown in. My company did not start in leadership development, it started in recruiting. And I just realized that there's a lot of people that can help you find good talent. There's not a lot of people helping you keep it. And
Mm.
the big bottleneck for a lot of businesses is middle management. It's senior leadership has their own challenges, but middle management is just this sector of business that really gets left behind. And when you go from being an individual contributor, and usually high performing is how you get promoted, the skill to lead a high performing team is very different than being a participant on a high performing team. So I designed this to help with people, operations, and hiring because those are really cornerstones of I don't know what I'm doing. I'm drinking from a fire hose. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm filling the space. And when we don't have examples and we don't know what we're doing, sometimes how we fill the space is not necessarily the healthiest thing for the business, the team, or the individual manager.
No, I love that. And it is an exciting moment. And you highlighted that you're a high performer, and usually you're a high performer on a high performing team, and there becomes a need for you to fill a role as that highest high performer. And yeah, there's usually not that transition like, awesome, OD. We know this guy is going to leave. So here, let's get you into this leadership training program. And once he's gone, you're good to go.
No, usually you're thrown in. And I think one of the things we don't talk about that is really hard as a brand new leader, but honestly, just middle manager in general, is you go from being a high performer and you feel like you're winning at work to now
Hmm.
doing something you don't know how to do. People are not happy with you. Senior leadership might not be happy with you. So you go from feeling like you're winning to feeling like you're failing. That might be a new feeling for a high
Hmm.
performer in corporate America. That might not be their experience. So that in itself brings issues because now your ego, your confidence, it's all kind of muddled and you're trying to just keep the wheels turning while internally you're falling apart.
I can't. How would I say this? I don't know if you were able to watch the movie of my life that first year of going through, but that basically sounds like it. Like I would finish the day and I would take my dogs for a walk with this immense amount of frustration,
Yeah.
Because yeah, you go into some meetings and now you're in leadership. You're making decisions now. You're not just worker bee. And these decisions are affecting everything. And not only that, but the decisions that you do affect that high performing team that you're now leading. And I would walk and I would be like, this all just is so much. And if you don't have like that mentor or leadership coach or even a consulting group, it is like I said, it's a water hose off a fire truck.
Yeah, it is. And it's a really hard place to be as a manager because the expectation is that you're going to succeed and figure it out on your own. And that's just not reality. For
Hmm.
most people, people leadership is a completely like foreign thing. You don't just inherently lead people. There are some people that are more inclined to naturally lead people, but they tend to struggle with operations and
Hmm.
operational efficiency. I found that typically you have one or the other. You're really great at operations, you struggle a little bit on the people management, or you're great at people management, you struggle on the operational efficiency. And when we don't equip people with skills and then we beat them up for failing, and middle managers are unique because they get beat up by their team and their leadership. So it's just you're a punching bag. And
Hmm.
how long can you be a punching bag before you're like, am I good at my job? Should I be here? Is it the company? Is it me? And then you see turnover in management, but you also see turnover on teams because bad managers are one of the number one reasons that people leave organizations.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, I mean, you're really just speaking the language of middle management, and like you said, you're getting beat up because these people down here, and this is a different dynamic, is because they know you. You were part of that team, and now you're the guy, but you're still like their guy, and they want things, and you want to make your team better, but then your manager is like, no, we can't do that. And then like you said, you're just going through all these mixed emotions, but the thing about it, you're not really equipped.
Yeah.
And if someone is not equipped, you start to wonder, are you really good enough for this job? Is that
Yeah.
really what I should be doing? And you did say something, and I kind of smiled, and people will go back and watch on the video. And if they work with me, they know why this probably is. But you said about be really good at like people management or operational efficiencies. Um, really good at the people part, super duper good at the people part. Operational efficiencies is definitely where I'm working to grow, to the
Yeah.
point that like the operations people that I work with in the groups, I'm just kind of like, I just give them that dumb look half the time they're talking. I'm like, how do you do all this stuff? And like, I don't get it. But you know, it's it's one of those things, like I said, as you learn, you grow. I was able to find a leadership course that I took from University of Kansas, Rock Chalk. And it definitely helped me a lot. So learning and reading about your program and going through your website and watching your video, I instantly get excited because I'm like, oh my gosh, this is something that everybody needs. Like everybody needs this. If you want to aspire to be a leader in a company, grow a company, even your own company, this is a program that you needed. So you said you started off as a recruiter, right?
Kind of.
Okay.
So I have a mixed bag of experience. So I've actually done HR management. That was my first leadership position, and it,
Hmm.
it was like drinking from a fire hose on crack because I was leading leaders, and that is a very imposter syndrome place to be when you have no idea what you're doing.
Hmm.
But from there, I went into project management in the ad agency side, and then I spent 5 years in staffing industry on the sales consulting side. So I worked in partnership with recruiters. But when I launched Ponder This, it was because I wanted to keep recruiting human. I was watching
Hmm.
AI come in and really the experience of recruiting started to shift in a really, really negative way.
Hmm.
And so that's kind of where my mission started. But I realized, like I said, there's so many resources for that. Just like there's so many resources for senior leadership development, retreats, all these things. There's a million people that will help those in those disciplines, but there are so few resources for middle management. And it's such a key piece of a business and such a it's a person that really needs the most help in corporate America. I think right now, especially with just the rise of AI and technology and things moving so fast, remote teams, hybrid, on-site, there's so many variables, and middle managers are really hearing it from
Hmm.
both sides and really responsible for the rollout of change management.
Man, and it's very difficult to sit and listen to you talk without thinking about my own experiences at work and being to these middle management positions. That's a term that I have not used a lot, and I almost think that they're trying to make it a term that is not really around a lot. Like, they're trying to make the middle management title disappear. But I agree with you; it is a very important role. Because you are managing the workflow and you're also managing what can be produced, but you're managing your group and you're working with another bigger group,
Yeah.
um, which is like the senior leadership. So I think that's super duper cool that as I was reading your program, you talk about how a senior leader might be doing the job of their middle manager.
Yeah.
Now, before we get into that, I'm going to take a little quick break because Leslie wants to get in a quick commercial for something that he really, really loves. But like when we come back, let's talk about that, okay?
Yeah.
Hey, OD, it's Leslie. I just wanted to take a moment. I know you're in the middle of Stove to Strategy, the podcast, talking to some great leaders. I just wanted to talk about Snibs real quick. This shoe's been wonderful for me, super comfortable. I spent all day in Buffalo at the Buffalo Wing Festival, probably going to do it again this year. And for any of your viewers that are in hospitality, restaurants, hotels, nursing, a great shoe to get, slip resistant, comfortable all day, and it's going to last you. Snibs. Strongly recommend. I think you should check them out. Just like I'm going to check out your podcast, Stove to Strategy, the podcast, and see what are the great leaders that you're talking to and hear their history and what's going on. So back to you. I appreciate you letting me interrupt. Adios.
That guy, like he's a wonderful guy. Like, but yeah, those are some really. I kept asking him. I said, "Do they have like something stylish that I can wear?" I'm like, "Will it help me as I'm doing podcasts?" He's like,
No
"What?"
slip while you record.
I'm constantly moving my feet, so maybe I need some no slips or something like that. But no, I've got podcast stories where those probably would have come in handy, running around and doing some crazy. Oh yes, I've set some stuff on fire before,
Oh
but
my.
um, oh yeah, that's a whole other podcast.
Let's
I'll
not do
invite you
that
to that.
today.
Yeah, not today. We won't be doing that today, but we're going to be talking about your program. And when we before we went to Leslie, we were talking about how you are talking to the senior management and you're telling the senior management, and this was so good. Like I said, we're talking about looking at this, I'm like, this is so true in corporate America. The senior manager sometimes finds him or herself doing the majority of the middle manager's job,
Yes.
and they have no idea how to stop this. And
Yes.
so, where did that idea come about? How did you get to that vision or that view?
Real life. Everything I take that I've used to build my program has come from my own experiences in corporate, whether it's me as a leader, me on a team within small organizations, big organizations. I've really looked at where do I see opportunities in my own experience and then brought that to Ponder This. And so I saw this a lot and I started to realize a pattern. And the pattern is we never trained our senior leaders either. So
Mm,
they don't know how to delegate either in some cases. I had a great conversation with an HR leader at one point last year who was talking about, your management program might be great for my C-suite because they never learned management. And we talk about leadership and management not as skills, but as like ideas and be a leader, don't be a manager. That's not reality. Management is a skill, leadership is a skill, and you need them in different proportions in different
mhm,
levels of leadership. But I've seen with senior leaders, they tend to do the jobs of their middle managers simply because they also don't know how to manage and delegate and actually hand the reins over so that their middle managers can do their job and free them up for their own higher strategy work, which they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, that's I was at a young man's age, I was a real estate appraiser, and I had I guess he was a senior appraiser and I was an apprentice at that time. And he told me, he goes, if I could get 10 of you that work just like you, he goes, I'd make $1 million in a year. He's like, and having you helps me go look for more business. He goes, but if I could get 10 of you, he goes, that's where I would make the most money. He goes, if you could figure out how to train 10 of you to work the way that you do, he's like, we would do it. And that is kind of I guess, a really good point to jump back to something that you said. A lot of people in management roles, leadership roles, senior leadership roles, C-suite roles have never been trained how to be a leader or how to be a manager.
Yeah.
They have degrees, they have MBAs, but they've never really had any type of coaching or programming to help them learn how to lead people. And I think it does have a trickle down effect to, I guess, the middle manager level.
Definitely. And the biggest gap I see is communication.
Mm,
Part of the reason you have a hard time hiring for who you're looking for is because can you articulate what you're looking for? And do you know how to interview for it? Do you know how to train? Do you know how to coach? Do you know how to communicate your expectations and your needs? Oftentimes, expectations are not communicated. There's this assumption that people understand what we want. And this is not specific to leadership, this is life. We do
hmm
this for our friends, our family, our spouses. I mean, we just assume people can read our minds because we're in our minds. And so
hmm
when we don't communicate what our expectations are, when we do this in corporate America, we get frustrated and we reprimand people
hmm
for communication we never gave. And we get
True.
frustrated for the quality of work that's being delivered without ever giving feedback on it, or we get frustrated for the candidates we're seeing without ever giving feedback. Huge thing I saw in the staffing industry. If you never give feedback, your HR leader or your staffing partner don't understand what's missing. How did they go back and do a better job and bring the right people to you? So even something as small as communication and leveling that up, that's across the board. If we're not communicating clearly, how can we expect people to do their jobs well and to understand what it is that we need from them for everything to be moving simultaneously in the right direction?
Man, I think that's humongous, 100%. I was saying to Leslie one day, I was like, if we could just go into businesses and find communication gaps, we could improve efficiency hundredfold because
Yeah.
I just, it's always like someone doesn't, like you said, I'm in QA and IT, and please write steps on how to test stuff. And then we get like 3 steps for something that is very complicated. And it is human nature for us to um, hear something in our mind and assume that we actually said it to someone that might be in our life or at a restaurant or something. Like, wait, didn't I tell you I want cheese on the burger? Like,
I said that.
no, I said that. No, you thought it, but you didn't say it. And that's self-awareness is huge. And I think that's something that would definitely help a lot of people in management is to have a higher level of self-awareness.
Oh, for sure. But I think one of the things I was super guilty of this training new salespeople. You get so used to your norm and where you are in your career. What felt hard for you on day one is not hard for you anymore. It's second nature. You're not thinking about it. It's unconscious competence. Yeah,
Hmm
that's what it is. So one of those things that happens is like people come in and we're like using lingo they've never heard because every corporation has their own lingo that inherently pops up. So we're using lingo they've never heard, processes they've never done, softwares they've never touched in some cases. And we communicate in a way that people inherently understand just the basics, but the basics are new.
hmm
So even having the self-awareness to go, okay, where was I when I started and what lingo did I not understand? And how do we build SOPs to actually set people up for success? And this is something I'm doing in my business right now, because as I duplicate, I'm going to be responsible for communicating. This is our lingo. This is what we do. This is how we say things. This is why, right? But having the self-awareness to go, okay, wait, I feel really competent now, but I've had 5 years, 10 years of marinating in this ecosystem. This person's brand new. Do they even understand our lingo and our terminology?
You know, you brought up something, and it's documentation, and we all have the dream. You know, it's our business. I'm going to do this. Like, I'm going to be a podcaster. I'm going to make all these great podcasts. But there comes a point where you have to do the business of the business, the documentation and things like that. When the dream sometimes is not as much fun as it was when we started.
Yeah.
So, have you had any moments where the dream has not been just as much fun as you thought it was going to be on this journey?
How much time do you have? I think the biggest thing people don't tell you is you have to be everything. And it's not that easy to just bring people in to handle things for you, because you still have to communicate what you need. So even if you bring in an accountant, for example, you still have to communicate to the accountant, okay, here's where all the different bank accounts are, and these are the credit cards being used, and these are our monthly expenses, all these things. So you have to do everything. You have to be the marketer, you have to be the operations specialist, the tech, the everything, sales. So for me, I am not a techie.
Mhm.
I've had a huge learning curve getting tech set up, troubleshooting, and having to really sit down and say, okay, I'm going to do this. This is not the sexy dream. This does
Mhm.
not fire me up. This doesn't make me feel like I'm making an impact in any way. But without these systems in place, I can't reach as many people, or I can't deliver my product, whatever it is. So there's been a lot of moments, but I think for me, tech is not my strength. And so I've really had to lean into it and go, okay, I'm going to make it a strength, because
Mhm.
as a business owner, that's just what you have to do.
Yeah. Yeah, that is even I being in tech, sometimes you run across some things you're like, oh man, now I gotta learn something new right now. I mean, it looks pretty cool, but I gotta do that. So yeah, that I can relate to that.
Yeah.
Um that and like taxes. So
Well,
um
yeah.
I think everybody's business can relate to taxes.
Oh,
So um what if you were to speak to a brand new leader, say I brought this guy and he's like, I just got promoted to middle management today, and you can say a few things to that person, guy or young lady, what would you say to them?
congratulations, first and foremost.
Hmm.
I would say learn how to see things through other people's eyes. Take a breath before you respond. Emotions typically run high when you, especially when you have very diverse teams. People have different ways of thinking, speaking, things that motivate them. So I would say definitely get to know your team. Operations can be taught, hiring can be taught. People management is the number one thing that if you can get that right and everything else is a little bit wonky, that can be fixed down the road. But if you can really get to know your team, really get to know what drives them, what fires them up, what they are not a fan of, their workflows, their strengths, their weaknesses, if you can really look at that and be able to say, I understand my team, I know where our gaps are, I know where our strengths are, and be able to lean into that, that will take you miles, and then you can fix the other things down the road that will inherently pop up. So I would say lean into really getting to know your team and having the self-awareness to go, okay, am I looking at this through my lens, or am I looking at this through their lens and my lens, and then trying to find something where we can meet in the middle.
Oh man, powerful, powerful. So I'm going to ask a sidebar question, and then we're going to go talk about the program on a personal stance, and then from a business stance, and then we're going to talk about a new offering that you have coming up. So, do you have, and if you don't have one right now, you can say, let's talk about the special offerings and stuff, and I'll get back to you on this. But do you have a favorite leader, someone that you're like, I just like to see this person talk, or this person's always saying something cool, or just even like a favorite group, like, oh, I like these kinds of leaders or something like that?
I have quite a few, but John Maxwell, he's my boy.
Okay.
I've read his books, I've listened to his podcast, I follow him on LinkedIn, I follow him on Instagram. He is kind of the OG of really putting people first, in my opinion. And if you don't know who he is, he's the #1 nonfiction author specifically in leadership. So he's had an incredible career, and he really, really cares about people, and he keeps things simple. He does
Mm,
not try to make it complex and all these things. He keeps it simple to the point. So there's so many good ones out there, and I am constantly consuming, because I do think that if you're not in progression, like that's a problem. You can't really lead if you're not in progression, and that goes for
mhm.
your consultants too. So I'm a firm believer in that. I'm continuing to grow and learn always, but John Maxwell is definitely my North Star, I would say.
Okay, good call. Good call. It's always good to know who the new powerful leaders are looking at as inspiration. I mean, I kind of like you. It's like I've got books over there. I watch videos. Like I like to watch a lot of the sports coaches
Oh yeah.
um, talking about like some of the star players that they've had to deal with and like their egos and things like that. And like you said about talking to our new buddy here that just got promoted, like learning the most about your team
Yeah.
is going to help drive you forward. So but let's talk about your business. So, what this wonderful program? What would be if you could sum up the offerings for an individual like our good buddy here who wants to get involved and is super excited? How would you sum up the individualized program that you guys have?
Super simple. Honestly, the program is the same whether it's an individual or a business. The only thing that changes is the onboarding and the price, right? Because
Mhm.
if you're teaching managers of a business of with 20 versus one person. So the program is the same, super simple to get involved. If you want to have a conversation before, I highly recommend that, so I can make sure that it's the right fit. I'm really, really big on, I don't want you to waste time on something that's not actually going to help you where you're at. But if it's a good fit, it's super simple. We go through micro learning modules, which I'm really big on because you don't have a lot of time as a manager. So I kept things short and sweet and to the point.
Mhm.
Hands-on activities. But the thing that really makes us different is I want everything to be applied to real life. So there's one-on-one time with me after every single module, every single hands-on activity, so that it's related to your team, your day-to-day, your organization. It's not just kind of the perfect case study scenarios and then good luck figuring that out with your team and
Hmm.
your dynamics. So I think that's what really sets us apart, is making sure that this is being applied in real time. The classroom is their workplace, their team, and then there's a community to participate in, and there's group coaching to plug into. So it's not like the program's done and you're off on your own. You can stay in the community as long as you want and plug into group coaching and ask for help and ask for input and collaborate with fellow managers.
I saw that on the site, and I think that was like super powerful. Even if someone's like they're in leadership and they're not sure if they want to do the program, I think being part of that community, sometimes just hearing other people's stories, maybe be able to share and then find other people to mentor with, or maybe they're, like you said, in your particular industry,
Yeah.
um, you can learn a lot from those people. So you did say, and we talked about it at the beginning of the show, got something special that we want to talk about. You want to go ahead and let the world know about that?
Yeah. So the cool thing about this program is I built it for me when I was in that seat, but that doesn't mean that it's a great program. You still have to have people go through it and say this works. I like this. So SMEs have gone through my program, managers have gone through my program. And because I've gotten such great feedback and they're like, this was helpful, we're taking it on a bigger scale and we're doing B2B now. And we're really servicing entire middle management teams in an incubator style model. So 120-day run, we train your entire middle management team, make sure that everybody's on the same page and really kickstart you and launch you into a more efficient middle management team. On average, we save 8 hours a month per manager. Once they get their operational efficiencies, they understand their team, they understand how to hire. So the ROI can be incredible with manager productivity, lower turnover. Employee productivity is proven to go up when managers are better. So there's so many things that a business can really gain from investing in middle management. And we're excited to kind of bring an incubator to businesses.
No, that's hot. That's I like it. Like I said, this whole thing just makes me excited. It's leadership. If you have a business, if you're a senior manager, a middle manager, someone even possibly about to be promoted to manager, go to this site, check it out, watch the video, see if you want to be participating in that, and give Ashley a call. Like you said, she's not just gonna, she wants to know. Let her figure out, let you guys work it out. Is this program the right one for you? But I think there's definitely some benefits to it. So I'm gonna
Appreciate
wrap this up. If you could say something to yourself the first day Ashley sat down and said, ponder this consulting. I'm going to start doing it. Type, 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 type. What
Whoa,
would you say to yourself if you had the time machine and say, and you're like, huh? What would you say to yourself?
that's a powerful question. I would say let go of time frames and trust your ability and trust your mission. Because when you start a business, it feels like a dream, and then reality sets in. And the only thing that keeps you moving forward is a greater calling. And for me, that's making the workplace better for literally everybody by fixing middle management. Without that, I don't get up at 5 a.m. I don't work on weekends. I don't, do the grind. And so I would say if I could go back, I would say really lean in hard to your mission and trust that, but also let go of time frames, because we all think it's going to happen overnight. And social media tells us all day long, you're going to be a millionaire overnight. That's just not the reality. Things take time, they take discipline. So, yeah.
Love it. Love it. Thank you for giving us some of your time. Thank you for coming on the Stoves to Strategy. And thank you for putting Ponder This Consulting together. I know you doing what you're going to do is only going to strengthen the corporate environment out there for all of us. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm excited to do it. Somebody's got to do it. So,
Awesome. I'm glad it's you. So awesome. So thank you, everybody. We will catch you next time here on Stoves to Strategy. And we're done.
cool. That was fun.
So awesome. Well, that's it. Like I say, I don't try to do too much, but just